Hey guys, how we doing today? I'm JC with sorry, got to get centered on the new camera. Hopefully it looks good. I'm JC with HangarReady, also of ADI, and with me tonight are my wonderful co-hosts, Jolly. Wonderful co-hosts. I'm hearing myself.
Yeah,
Um,
it'd just be twice that way. It's all right, man.
yep. Hey Jolly, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, thank you, Jay.
Okay. Also with us tonight is Turin.
Hey, how
Turin
y'all doing?
Atmos. How you doing? And then we've got Callie Josh. Josh, how you
Hey,
doing out there in the wildfire lands?
we saw blue sky and we saw a little bit less smoke this week, so I'll take it.
Congrats. And then we have Numidius, who's
Hey.
up in Kentucky land, over
hmm
here in the south with me. And
Well, it's
then
been great.
finally we have Hendrosa, finally back with us. He's got a little bit of a blue halo or green halo around his head,
It's my
but
neon.
other.
I got the neon lights in the back going. That's what it
Oh,
is.
you got the green neon lights. Yes, thank you,
RGB head.
Red Water, for
RGB headset.
following.
There you go.
There we go. It's a very special kind of RGB headset. How are you doing this evening? You've been away a couple of months dealing with technical issues. Looks like we
Well,
got those worked out today.
yep.
Okay, so we've got a good show tonight. We're going to try to keep it to an hour and hopefully answer questions. So, guys, feel free. We all have the chat up, and so we'll be watching you guys ask questions and, hopefully answering them. So, let's start. What's our first topic of the evening, Jolly? I believe this is the one
Food
that you
and
picked.
water.
Okay. And in all fairness, we've been trying to get to this topic for
2
3
months.
months now.
3
2 or
months,
3
yeah.
months. Okay, fair enough. So,
But
Jolly, go ahead and start us off. Let's talk about food and water in the verse today.
as Jay said, we've been trying to get it for a little while, but 310 came out and the rock came out, and those are higher priority items we wanted to hit, so we decided to put this one off. It's not really a rush on it. There's a lot to the food and water addition to it. We talked about it previously a little bit when it first came out in terms of, is this really adding to the gameplay or is it just more of a hindrance? You can still make your own decision on that. I'm still not a huge fan of the idea, but whatever, it's in there. So let's go ahead and figure out how to deal with it and use it in the game as best we can. You're probably now familiar with the nutrition density rating, or NDR, which is a food, and hydration efficiency rate index, which is water. These do appear to equate to percentages. So, for example, if you're down to 80% food, you want something that's going to give you a 20 rating on your food rating itself in order to bring yourself back up to 100. And that seems to make sense so far, though I have not seen that written down. Just seems through testing how it's working out pretty well. The consumables can have additional effects, which is something that's really not clear in the game so far. Most, I'd say, in the game, if you're like me, the two items I pick up is the water and the beefy chunks, because they have a high rating in either your hydration or your nutrition, and that pretty much covers me for what I want to have. However, there's supposed to be additional ones that are out there. Johnny, can I have you bring up the consumable effects chart and go to the full screen on that one? These are some examples
present.
of some of the additional things that different food items will be able to give to you.
You need to click present.
Our problem
You
is
did not.
the game hasn't explained to us exactly what they do. For example, if you say it's energizing, it produces a boost of energy levels, allowing you to be active for longer. What does that mean? Does that mean I can run further? I can run faster? We don't know. If it's fatigue, it has a draining effect, causing lethargy and a general sense of exhaustion. Does that mean it's going to slow me down as I'm trying to move around the game, or whatever the case may be? Digest slowly, making you feel satisfied for longer if it's a hypometabolic, which means, okay, if I eat those beefy chunks, am I going to get a 10% boost out of them, a 20%, a 30? What am I getting out of it? I don't know. And opposite of that, hypermetabolic, it's not going to fill me up as long. Is it, I ate the beefy chunks, but it's, or whatever the food may have been, and I'm going to get less back from it. If I can find out where that's at, if somebody can hack the code through Reddit and I can find it and pass it along, we certainly will. But those are some things that come into play. So I think the game, once it develops more and they explain this a little bit better to us, especially some of these items which we really have no idea on, this is immune suppression. So it kind of tells me poison's coming in some form whatsoever, and this is a food or drink item that you're going to want to have. That's something to keep in mind. There's a good, a bad, and there's also mixes. It's kind of nice. Some food is purely just water or nutrition. Some's a little bit of both, and some has either food, water, little bit of both, and some sort of an effect. Jody, can you give me the consumables? That's the second slide I put together. So each one has its own HDI and NDR and HEI rating itself. These are not all. There are 72 total items as of last count that you can buy out there. do want to point out three. That's the cruise drinks, either dark, flow, or Lux. They are double whammies in terms of helping you out with they'll last longer on the food and they'll last longer on the hydration than most of them are out there. You can see some are kind of a mix, such as the Fizz Colas. They're energizing, but you're going to be thirsty earlier than what you would have been. So to give and take what's out there. The one triple good one, which was the Pitambu fruit. If you can find that, those are ones that are good to grab. It has a little bit of hydration, a little bit of nutrition. It works out pretty well for you. I think, like I said, the cruises are the best things to grab. If you're an explorer, you're going to need to stock up for a long trip. That's something I would grab if I were you. Otherwise, do what I do, stick with water and beefy chunks. Really, plain palate whatsoever. I do notice, I kind of laughed at some of the foods, like burritos. Yes, they'll fill you up, but they're bad for you. Same for the colas. Yeah, they'll get rid of your thirst, but they're bad for you. Tacos the same way. And I'm kind of like, heaven forbid you ever ban my tacos, but
You'd think by the time we got to space, they'd figure out how to make bad food good for you.
No,
You'd
well,
think
it's
that,
not.
but you'd be
It's
wrong.
vegan, you just don't know it
We
yet.
point out scientifically not quite right with the game. So let's just live with these. And like I said, RSI owes us more information as to what these effects are on us, so we can plan properly for. I'm really thinking about explorers, to be absolutely honest. The guys who want to get away from a system, get in their Karak, don't have to worry about rearming because you've always got lasers on you. Going a great distance with a good bag of gas, the ability to gas up again and some sort of star out there. But you got to survive off the food you're going to have with you because the local flora and fauna may not be there for you to consume in one way or the other. So just keep that in mind. Just so you know, the highest NDR out there is the beef chunks, and the highest HEI is the Synergy. So those are two you want to grab a hold of it. And that's about all I've got on that topic. So I'm gonna pass it over to the other guys. Give your comments on first of all the concept of food and water in the game, and then some of the quirks that exist within itself.
Well, my personal opinion is that I don't necessarily have a problem with food and water. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think it's implemented very poorly in Star Citizen in some ways. First of all, not being able to, carry it on a flight suit, you have to have armor on. One would think that, your flight suit or spacesuit would have some pockets on it so you could shove something in there. And the other being that it just goes, it's, single use if you, and then you have to throw it away. You can't put it back in after you drink half of it or a third of it. So there's some kinks that they've just got to work out to make this featureable. The other is the ability to load stuff up into your ships and have it there. The kitchen should be stocked with at least some basic provisions on every ship with a kitchen just to make it more playable. Turing, what are your thoughts on the consumables?
Well, first off, I'm glad I had dinner because that rundown was making me hungry. But I think with the new generation or the next gen building block system that they're going to come on, I think you're gonna be a little bit better able to store your food and water in the pouches that you would normally think. I think that's the way they're going from everything that we've seen. They're gonna do that. My main, for lack of a better term, beef with the system right now is it seems inconsistent with the timer it takes before it starts to tick down again. I've drank a whole thing of water. I've hit the cruise. And 30 minutes later on a session, I'm down to 83%, and all I've been doing is flying around. Food too seems to be inconsistent. There's just not really any rhyme or reason about it, other than there's some hidden mechanic, and when it clicks off, the timer just starts dropping no matter what you do. Now, I have been in places especially when you go mining on aerial. And I'm Namidius, you probably can address this better than I can because you've encountered it a lot more. But if you hang around a hot planet, your stuff's going to start dropping. And I think that's good. I think that's good gameplay. That with the ability to store stuff in your ship, you can go back in, you can grab something to drink, and you can come back out. The age-old question that we've asked one another in this session before is it giving me value right now? Is it giving me value in the game? Is it making it fun or not fun? That is debatable, and probably half of us will say no, it's not fun, and the other half will say, well, it's all right, but I could do without it. Right now, I could do without it.
I completely agree. It's a little annoying right now, and sorry, I'm still moving around here, getting my new spot on my desk right. Sorry about that. Josh, what are your thoughts about the food and water as a pilot in a fighter? Have you run into any problems with this yet?
So, other than the fact that I think that we could have taken all the hours and time that they use programming this and put it into other things that I would prefer, putting those aside, no, I really haven't. I got in the habit of picking up like the beefy chunks in the water. I'm really hoping though that they can perfect. They have the little tab on the side of the beefy chunks where you're supposed to rip and tear. I want to see a perfection where you either can't tear it or you just rip it and the whole thing spills everywhere. Like, I think, if we're going to do it, we need to do this all the way.
No.
Right?
100% failure rate.
Immersion.
Immersion failure rate. MREs are awful. So, Namidius, what are your thoughts now that you're running exploration and,
Oh boy.
What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on the wonderful world of dying of thirst?
Well, it's probably like Turin was pointing out. It seems so random at times. Sometimes you'll go forever, it doesn't drop, and then all of a sudden you see it started going down, and you have no idea what it is you did that caused that. But I do like as long as it's consistent. What he was pointed out the planet Ariel. I was rock mining on there. I had a rock in the back of a cutlass, and I'd land there. I'd get out. It was like 350 something degrees Celsius, and I got a Pembroke on, which only takes you up like 100 below that. And so I would go out, mine for a bit, come back. My hydration's already going down good because you can already see your body temperature as your body temperature starts to rack up, goes above 36.5, which is where it normally sits in the game. It'll go, and then you get back in the ship, pop your helmet off to bring your temperature back down faster, and drink a little water, go out and do a little bit more. It can be a little tedious in those situations, but you want to have that experience of this is an extreme planet or an extreme environment, and you want to have if you're going to feel like it is there has to be a consequence like that. I haven't seen I haven't seen any of the absolute zero locations for a while. I don't know whether they fixed that or it's just a random chance. I don't have too much of a problem with it. They've been teasing the new inventory system. What I haven't had a chance to find out yet is can you like you got a bunch of the material on you either in a pocket or whatever, can you then drop that in a box like you can now into your ship, and now you have a box in your ship with all the items, and does the inventory system allow you to then pull something out of that box? If they do that, I mean that's a big step forward compared to what we have right now, and then you can actually have items stocked on your ship and they're not bottles rolling all over the place.
Yeah.
Will it persist from login session to login
The
session?
boxes generally do. It's just a matter of whether we can pull from them or not.
Well, and even the gun racks generally do. So if they give us the ability to shove stuff, if they turned the freezer in the Karak or whatever you want to call it into a box and let us shove stuff in there like we can shove weapons into a gun rack, that probably would work as well. I
Well,
mean,
let
there's a
me
lot of
buy-
ways.
Let me buy more than one at a time too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. The whole buy mechanic and the click it and wait 30 seconds while it does the motion to pick it up. And the guy
That's
says something cute. And
And then it
then
freezes.
you're like, start again. So I could buy 3 of these. Yeah, I agree. They've got to speed that up.
And then half
Yeah.
time it picks it up, you look at it, you can't stow it. You have to step away from the
You have to
counter,
step away.
look down, find it
Yes.
again, find the stone, stow it then, or drink it or there, or whatever the case may be.
There was one
Well-
fun little discovery I made is the coffee pot you can buy to put in the 300 series when you customize it. The first drink of coffee actually gives you hydration, something like 10-20%, but it actually does. You can't
wow.
refill it, but it actually works.
Okay.
Jerosa,
It's a
what,
start.
what about you?
And our esteemed Twitch streamer here, professional Twitch streamer, Joseph, what are your thoughts on food and water?
Yeah. So Nam and I were actually, talking about this a little earlier, and I agree with all you guys as far as the mechanics goes. When I'm streaming, I'm not really working too hard, sitting in a prospect or doing some mining, so I really don't notice, the wear down on the food, the water, anything like that until I get to running and got to go make my sale. But it's kind of like you guys said, is once you're out in those different climates, it's going to affect you differently, and you're going to have to utilize the food, the water, in conjunction with the levels of your activity that you're doing and things like that. So I think that they've got that, and I think when it comes down to them having to look at activity, maybe they've already really incorporated that. I'm just not personally seeing it because of the gameplay I'm doing, but I'm glad that they kind of have that there. But to kind of reiterate what Josh was talking about, and you, Jay, is you got to be able to start buying more than one for those individuals that want to utilize the exploration side of it, and literally pack that stuff, go on a hike, and sit there and spend a good half hour of getting your supplies, getting that stuff done, and everything. I really hope that they do kind of incorporate what a lot of different games do, to where it shows you, the benefits of what you eat and drink, kind of going to what Jolly was talking about. Like, if I eat this certain, food, I get, this boost in stamina, or if I drink this certain kind of drink, I get this much more of a health boost, something like that. I don't know if they're going to incorporate that. I really haven't heard too much about it, but
it looks like they are.
Yeah.
Definitely looks like they are.
Final thing, Jay, real quick on this is right now the workaround is if you want to get around this, it's the backspace key.
Yep.
I'll play with a bunch of guys. We'll be out there mining. They're using the rocks that are red on a aerial or some hot planet or whatever the case may be. And hey, I'm down to 20% water, and mining away, they'll get kind of close to the red and let me hold on 1 second. And they backspace, dive, spot up the red, 100%, go back to the rock, continue along. We can do that in alpha because, to be honest, death doesn't matter. Now,
Right.
I would break that habit or learn how to break that habit early. They can be like that when the game goes live. So
Yep. I would get away from that.
Get used to use the food and water.
So
I
here's
got a question.
Oh.
I got a
Go
question
ahead.
for you, Jolly. So when I go into the game, I have the habit of just going to the quickest and first thing I can find because my tolerance for it is almost zero. So I just buy whatever. But the beefy chunks, and I do. I don't really care. I just buy it, like whatever. Beefy chunks, freaking candy bar. I don't care. But my question is, how prevalent are the various items at the various stops? Have we looked at that at all? Because
We have.
I really
and,
don't pay attention.
we have within the organization a list out there as for what's available where. And you're absolutely right. It's very limited. You want the best selection, go to New Babbage. You want the worst, go to Port Olisar. In some cases, some of the R&Rs, you can't find anything. So it's really lacking. And I'll give a plug for the vending machines. I want my big bennies. I don't care if it gives me a 10 nutrition and a minus on my hydration because of all the sodium in it or whatever, but those damn things should work.
Yeah, there's no reason they don't.
I want to feel the fresh. Give me some pips.
No
Vending
joke.
machines have been there since like day one of the PU. There's no reason
Get 'em
that they
working.
shouldn't have them.
Exactly. But no, Josh, you're absolutely right. I do this. I'm exactly like you. They grab one water, one beefy chunks, throw it in the pack, press on.
So here's I forgot what that other question I was going to ask. Thanks, Josh. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
So what do you guys think? Do you think that they should actually have it to where, the food that you get, like if you get like I kind of saw Dumma's question there or statement, but the food that you get, like a slice of pizza or burrito, you think that should spoil, or do you think that you're going to keep that in your inventory for?
I
You
think
can't
we
put
have.
those in inventory.
can't
You
store
put
those.
in
I
inventory.
didn't think you could store a burrito. in
But
your-
that's
in your
that's a
suit.
bug if he did.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say that's
that's
a
a
bug.
bug.
How'd you do
We're
that?
going to open it up to.
I get my tater tots in my pocket. I'll be okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, I get to what you're saying, Hendros, the fruit, okay, that you can store that.
Yep.
But we know that will go bad. Does it have a shelf life? I don't know, either died or eaten it before you find out, but that's something that should have a shelf life in your pack.
As far as I know, right now there is no shelf life.
Nope.
Yeah,
No,
Any-
there is
not that I've
anything,
seen.
yeah.
No.
And sealed stuff, there doesn't necessarily need to be a shelf life. I just want to comment real quick before we move on is that we are officially #1 on the Star Citizen Twitch. So good job, guys.
Is that the first time?
No,
No.
but
Okay.
it's really good that we're up there, and especially when Free Fly Weekend is still going on or just over with.
Oh,
Yeah,
one
and use
detail.
my
on-
code. I'm kidding.
Yeah, use my code.
One detail on the
My
fuel.
God. Wow.
What's that, Gnome?
I'm surprised, Josh, you didn't just like scroll it across the screen or something.
Hold it up on a side. Go ahead, Nom.
There was one detail on the fruit. It shows at least they are thinking it through, and it's not just arbitrary as saying what can be stored and what's not. Is you can store most of the fruit, but the sliced watermelon you can't. So at least shows somebody's actually thinking about it.
I agree.
Like I said, my only problem with it is right now it seems arbitrary in when the timing starts, when it, I could go a whole gaming session, and I mean like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I never have a problem with food and water. Next time I log in, every 30 minutes I got to go for something to drink, because my character's just continuously dropping in hydration.
You know what I would like is when you come in to get your ship repaired and rearmed, just give me like, when you go on a plane, you see the little truck come up and raise up and put food in there for everybody. Just give me the option to refill my ship with some food right then.
Well, I
Yeah.
agree, Josh. I mean, you've got a wonderful spaceport there at New Babbage. Can't buy anything in it, and that would be the place if you want to make a money sink for the game. That $6 thing of coffee at the New Babbage spaceport would be
Yeah,
the way to go.
it would get used a lot to have vending machines there by the ship terminals.
You guys are taking Jolly back in time, man. He's waiting for a hostess to come up and place that right there on the window. And take it.
You're gonna
He's
set up
waiting
Was
for
it-
him to come out with
Hold on.
with China. He's coming out with China and a China cup. Danny.
He wasn't waiting on a hostess to come do that. He was waiting on some airman to bring his coffee up to the
There's
cockpit.
an FBO we used to go to.
Airman, about a
Refill
colonel or
it,
something.
and they give you a
geez.
bottle of Jack Daniels.
Oh,
It was sweet.
must be
Instructors
nice.
Always went to that FBO. They pick you out with there would be a couple of young women wearing tight clothing in a golf cart, come out there to pick you up, take you inside, to cool off the air conditioner as a refuel your aircraft, and they get paid a lot of money for this. And inside your grateful gift went to the senior person on the crew of a little bottle of Jack Daniels. It's a sweet deal. I don't know what's going on anymore, but
And how many years did you stay in the Air Force, Charlie?
Well, this is the 80s, so
Yeah,
I
this
was
is
gonna
a
guarantee it.
while
I
ago.
guarantee you, I've been there. They don't do that anymore.
Rescue was where it was at, Turin.
They don't care about those peasants that heal people. Okay, moving on to segment number 2. And Jolly again put this one on the list, mostly because he's the least technical out of the 6 of us. No offense, Jolly.
True.
Jolly shows up and he goes,
That's back.
It's a close
Well,
second for
the question we had, this is the question we really had for Jay, is internet speed. Okay, now here's my knowledge of internet speed. What's the most expensive package I could buy for my provider? Well, that's the one I want. Right? It's that simple.
Who's got the most
There's no real
numbers?
thought involved. Give me the biggest number. That's what I want. And I do have a very good, very strong. I don't have 1G, but they don't offer it where I live. They offer it in the city, but just not where I live. So I've got a really good. I get about 580 download and about 18 to 20 on upload, and I'm happy with that. But I'm wondering how much of this is that I'm wasting my time. I hear a lot of guys, they'll have 100 down, 100 up. Otherwise, the spoiled brats have got 1 gig going for them and stuff like that. And I've always thought, what's the men you really need to play Star Citizen? Where's the point where, look, I'm now wasting my money on internet
Charlie,
speed I don't need.
you're saving time with your download because Star Citizen is one of the things that I see the highest download speeds on. So whenever a new update comes out, you're saving time there. I know that.
For updates, yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So, we really need to get to talk about this from a perspective of, first we have to put on caveats. As we talk about technical issues, we have to talk about the scope of the technical advice I'm providing in this case. And I'm sure Nam has some opinions, and we'll go from there. Nam and I work in IT. So out of the 6 of us, I think that's probably where you're going to get your best thoughts. But the first is, we're talking about to play the game, to play it, not to download it, not to stream, not to do anything else. The truth is, to play the game safely, you're going to see spikes above 6 and 7 megabits per second on downlink, and you're going to see spikes up to 2.5 megabits, maybe 3 megabits on uplink with just the game. Okay? So, as a general rule, that's in megabits per second. Megabits per second, not megabytes, megabits. So, as a general rule, you are going to have other things on top of Star Citizen running. So if you're running voice like Mumble, TeamSpeak, Discord, that's going to add a couple hundred kilobits per second, or 0.2, maybe 0.3 worst case scenario, both up and down, to that. So it's a rounding error. But so really what you want to do is double that. So if you need 6 megabits or 8 megabits, you want to have somewhere between 12 and 15 megabits, probably somewhere in that ballpark. 12, 15, somewhere 16, somewhere in that is your minimum downlink speed. And then your minimum uplink speed, you're probably going to want to have to be at least 5, 6 megabits, preferably a little faster than that. Nam, what are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment there?
All on point. First thing get across to people is bandwidth isn't speed. I mean, it helps with us when the sudden demand for data to download, but bandwidth is how much you can get down there. But there's also latency.
That's the other thing.
And
yes,
that varies greatly between whether you have a DSL from the phone system. Cable modems are typically better than those, and then you got, if you're lucky enough to have fiber in your area. But the other thing is, it's really, a lot of people don't understand the difference between, they think they have 100 megabit and that's all they know, but their upload might only be 5 or 10, and that's where they're getting killed. Case in point, I used to have the cable service here, and I was trying to do Skype with you guys, and it kept lagging out, and the upload was killing me, even though they said it would cap out at about 20, 25. I wasn't really getting that. And I'm talking megabit, not megabyte. And I said, well, what's the best plan you got? So that's the 400 megabyte plan, megabit plan. And what's the upload on that? Oh, it's the same. So as soon as a fiber provider rolled out in my town, and I'm lucky in that for the size of my city that we have fiber, I took it and ran with it. And it's been great ever since then. And it's not just that they have the same upload as download, but it's also much lower latency than cable or DSL, which helps with lag in the game, in any game, really.
So I think we would agree. A general rule of thumb is fiber is better than cable, cable is better than DSL, and DSL is better than satellite. And if all you could get is satellite internet, you shouldn't be playing computer games. I'm sorry, it sucks. Until Starlink comes out from SpaceX, you're just out of luck. Okay. DSL is pretty crappy, and in most places where you can only get DSL, it's because you're too far away to get cable, and you're going to have crappy speeds. Some exceptions apply. So you want cable or fiber. Those are really the two, and you want to make sure that if you're in cable land, you want to ask your provider if they support DOCSIS 3.1. If they don't, then that should scare you quite a bit. And you should probably, because that means their uplink is going to be pretty bad. So Redwaters, come join us at Atlas Defense Industries. I love this org. So many good people to play this game and many more. Well, thank you, Red. We really appreciate your feeling that way about the org. Now, if you're going to do anything else, the information I have just given you on this bandwidth is not applicable. If you're going to stream, if you're going to watch music videos while you're playing the game or something like that, these rough back of napkin math settings are not good. So, yeah, Lydon, satellite internet has somewhere between 500 milliseconds and 2000 milliseconds of latency. A decent cable connection is going to have somewhere between 20 and 30 milliseconds, maybe a little bit lower, 10 to 30 milliseconds, something like that. A decent fiber connection is going to generally have somewhere in the 10 to 20 milliseconds. To a certain extent, once you get to the pop of the provider and you hit the backbone, cable and fiber just kind of meld in together at that point. You just get the fiber benefit for that little, 10-mile jaunt down to the near, or 20-mile jaunt or 30-mile jaunt down to the nearest point of presence where you get on the internet superhighway.
When it comes to that, there, Jay, and this would probably be for you too, Nam. Had a lot of folks lately kind of say, "Hey, can't hear audio, can't see your stream and things of that nature." I don't think a lot of folks are aware that it's not necessarily the streamer, but it could be their internet. As the
Could be
issue.
there. Yes, it definitely, lots of people do not have very good internet, but they think it's your fault when you sound weird or their stuff doesn't play right.
Yep.
Without a doubt. That
There
is
was-
part of it.
One of the key differences between fiber and cable, though, is to keep in mind the stated number you get. With fiber, if it's 1 gigabit, you're getting 1 gigabit. If it's cable, it's up to that amount.
Well, fiber is
And-
technically up to that amount as well, because you have to remember that while the point to, so cable and fiber are different technologies. Cable is a shared broadcast amongst a neighborhood node, and there's a lot of bandwidth in a neighborhood node. Generally speaking, you're probably going to get your line rated speeds. The fiber is, yes, it's 1 gig from you to the point of presence. But once you get muxed in with all the other traffic, how much bandwidth they have going out to the internet superhighway is different. And so you can find fiber installations where they have less available bandwidth during certain peak hours than a similar cable installation for downlink. Uplink fiber is going to kill you every time, or beat every time. But for downlink, really oversubscription happens in both environments. So you can't, fiber is not superior to cable just blindly. It generally is superior because it generally is better constructed and is lower latency slightly.
Yeah, Terraform pointed out, if you're not getting what you're paying for, Duke Soccer playing, and I've had to do that in my past too, you should be checking your speeds on your computer. Don't use the company's speed check. Use somebody else's and see if you're getting what you're paying for, or at least close to what you're getting for. And if you're not, call your company and say, "Hey, hold on, I'm paying for this. I'm getting that." I've done that a couple times. And sure enough, they send a tech out. They find some problem on their end. They fix it, and all of a sudden, I'm getting better than what I'm paying for. So, do complain.
Speedtest.net is what I would recommend going and using. It is a great little website. Don't click on any of the ads. There's like a dozen of them, but it's a good test.
I made a little. I had to deal with that a bit, making complaints to the cable company back when I was on them, and and then I started getting to doing it for family members because they needed help with it and they didn't know the right things to say. And by the end of it, I think they probably had my picture on a wall saying, because I would get looks when I would walk into the store after a while. So yeah.
So I will say this: if you're on a cable provider and not getting the speeds that they promise you, particularly if you live in the state of Kentucky, hint, 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 somebody on the chat, or on the panel with me. There is this thing in most states called the Public Service Commission, or Public Utilities Commission. And you should contact them and file a formal complaint. Because once you do that, they by law have a certain number of days to resolve said complaint, or they start getting fined by the state if they're a cable or telephone provider. So, for some odd reason, when you do that after you've exhausted the tech support issues and they still haven't fixed it, they fix those problems very quickly, unlike going, we don't know how to fix it. All of a sudden, there's work crews out there because it's something like $500 a day after they hit the 30-day mark on one of those.
Wish I'd known that a year ago.
Yes.
Sorry.
Kind of a moot point now.
Yep, should have asked. So, but just a thought, make sure that you utilize, they are a utility if they're cable or telephone or cable providers. Utilize that Public Service Commission or whoever you have in your city or your state to your advantage. True internet only providers are not covered by that in most cases, unless they're also providing franchised-based TV or telephone service. So there we go. That's I think we've answered that. To the non-technicals, Jolly, do you have a better understanding, or did all that just sound like womp,
sure
womp, womp, womp,
I need 100
womp?
or cable.
Turn.
I
Did you learn anything?
I was running speed.net while we were talking, so
Oh.
I'm good.
How about you, Hendrosa? Did you learn anything from that, or just all in one ear and out the other?
Oh no, God, I've sat with you many a times, and same thing with Terrafon, Nam. I always hit the good sources to do that. Not to mention I've updated mine probably like 6 months ago, and it's running like a champ.
Josh, what about you?
I didn't know about the Public Utilities Commission part. That seems really useful. I know plenty of people that have had ongoing internet issues and, ended up just switching providers because of it and maybe going to an option that wasn't their best choice. So I thought that was really good to know.
Well, I'm going to tell a little story here and embarrass my beautiful bride of 20 years. When her and I first started dating, I worked as the director of operations for an internet company. And we had a house and we ran the ISP from the house, and I lived there with it. Go ahead and wave hi to everybody. Switch over to yourself. I know you don't want to do that. Yes, you do. She's refusing to even wave to the public. She's not having any of that. But I'm going to convince her. Come on, just say hi to everybody.
Producer. She's in charge.
They can't hear you.
Look like I haven't even heard this story yet.
Yeah, she hasn't heard. But so when we first met, one of the bedrooms was the tech support office, and we had this banner printout that hung up at the wall that said, "Bell South is the Antichrist."
Wow.
Because 80% of our time was chasing Bell South around to fix phone line problems associated with the service we were providing. It was hours and hours and hours. And so I learned very quickly how to manipulate the system to get them to go do the stuff that they needed to do. And also I learned about coats and money in pockets during that period of time too. Nothing like $100.
I'll say that Florida has a very good public service commission, so that would
They do.
that
Yes.
would definitely hold up down here.
Yep. Okay, so final topic of the night. And Nam, I added this just for you.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was introducing you because, you're my beautiful bride and you're the producer of HangarReady. And you really should switch to the webcam and say hello now that everybody can hear you. Yes, come on, do it. Do it. Everybody say do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Uh,
I just
peer
want to know how much
pressure.
crap Jake gets afterwards for this because he does it.
Oh, I'm going to be in the doghouse for a while after this. I can tell you right now because she is really not happy about that. Joni says hello. Jaglin from ADI says hello and now is flipping me the bird. So, Okay, sorry about that.
I
So
think
Nam,
I
I
believe
added the
Jay.
final segment number 3. Let's have a conversation about the RTX 3080 launch. And Nam, why don't you start off? Because I know you have no opinions about this at all.
Oh, none at all. First off, I'll preface this by saying I am not an early adopter. I wait until you got others here might beta test what the latest hardware that comes out, and I see the pain they go through. But I got caught up into the hype a little bit. It looks, and it still looks good on paper. Still looks like a good deal. The new, talking about the NVIDIA 3080 and the 3090 that we've seen all the reviews on, and I was all eager. I said, you know what? It's a good deal. I'm going to go ahead and try to buy it. And seconds, it's literally seconds, and boom, it's over. Okay, it
It's
went
like-
straight from notify. Well, let us notify, a notify button that you click on to tell you, and you refresh the page, and boom, sold out. And pretty much bots bought them all, is the understanding. But that, and some people who managed to get lucky and were very clever with how they set up their refreshes. Um,
So it was the
So-
890. It was the 890 jump of the Nvidia cards.
Wow.
Right.
pretty much, was probably the heaviest on record, I think, as far as this sort of card release. It's, and supposedly, if there's Gamers Nexus and some others, they have videos on the subject where they get some information from distributors, and the cards were actually there. It's not a paper release, like people were saying. It's just there was heavy demand. People who were in a position to exploit bots and had the, to do it, and the resources to buy the cards, jumped on the opportunity to make a quick buck, and it was a kind of crazy.
So Nam,
Well-
if Jolly has little information about technology, I'm flipping illiterate. Okay.
Okay.
So for the cards, what is the, I see, 1060, 2080, 3080. Is it like a logarithmic scale as you go across these things, or is it just
Only in
is
price.
is it just the next generation? I mean, what
Well, it's
what does the
it's the next.
3080 do that my 1060 GTX can't?
Same thing, just does it faster.
Well,
More memory.
here,
It has.
Is it
go
like
on.
the new like a new CPU? It just more capacity, more throughput.
It has,
Yeah.
there
ability?
might be a little bit better spec. In this case, it's a decent jump from going from if I had a 20 series card, which is the previous gen, either the supers or a TI or not, I probably wouldn't even care that much. It's still a jump over those, but it wouldn't be worth $700 to me to get a 3080 if I could. And I'm definitely not paying $1,500 for a 3090. I mean, that's just crazy.
So for somebody like me who's looking to upgrade after the first of the year, because I know that, I mean, I know my 1060 is
Mhm.
it's not where it's at. Should I be looking at the 3080, or will the 2080 Ti get me where I want to
Well,
go?
what
without
processor?
hold on. Hold on. Nam, do you mind if I jump in here just real
Yeah,
quick?
'cause I know where you're going on that as far as, go on.
Okay, so the key is that when we're talking about these, the first number, and we're going to stick with just the 4-digit NVIDIA cards. The first number indicates the generation. So a 10 series is a first generation or 10th generation, whatever you want to call it. But that's a generation. The 20 series is a completely new, faster chip. And then the 30 series is a completely new, faster chip than that. Okay. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. A 2080 Ti is Josh, you bought or sold one recently about
Yes.
a few months ago. How much did it sell for? Like $1,300?
It sold for the exact same amount that it retails for brand new as a used card at $1,200.
$1,200. Okay. So the 3070, which is a $500 card, is, per the benchmarks, roughly 10 to 20% faster than the 2080 Ti, which is a $1,200 card.
Now, keep in
that's a
mind
y-
that's what NVIDIA is telling us. There are no official benchmarks on the 3070 yet.
Correct.
As far as third parties that you would trust.
But there are 3080 benchmarks that clearly show a 40, 50, 60%, and in some cases 70% speed boost on the 3080. So there's a reason to think that the 3070 is still faster than the 2080 Ti. We'll have to wait and see. Correct. They're well, technically they're 12th gen or something like that, but yeah, 11th gen, but that's not neither here nor there. So the 20 series is basically an 18-month to 2-year-old technology. The 10 series is really a 3-year-old to 3.5-year-old technology. So that's why the car, first off, human malware caused everybody to go out and upgrade their computers, right? And supplies have been crazy to come by. And then NVIDIA stopped making 20 series cards for the most part to start making 30 series cards. And then they released and said, oh, these things are a lot faster. Now, NVIDIA said they're twice as fast. They are, but only in certain games using RTX, and it's really not. But they're significantly faster at a lot lower price point. And so everybody is sitting there going buy on Thursday morning at 8 o'clock Central Time. There were somewhere between, 10 and 15 of us on the ADI Discord that morning, Nom, and none of us, not a single one of us, got a card. And, trust me, some of us were using refresh techniques and it still didn't work. So, yeah, it's the cards are a lot faster, but it was a cluster bleep. Without a doubt, Newegg's servers crashed. They had higher load looking for this one video card than they normally see during a Black Friday sale. Amazon went from out of stock to sold out, and I never even saw the buy it now on a single one of the cards on Amazon, and they had a lot. It just was like a fraction of a second. It went from, because they were not having loading problems. Manufacturer websites were a nightmare. I got one into my cart on EVGA's site, which I normally would not buy an EVGA brand if I had a choice for a gaming rig. And, spent about a half hour trying to finally get the website to load and get into the checkout. And they had sold out before I could do that, and they wiped my cart. So it was a mess. And there is a limited supply. What they're doing right now is they are air mailing overnight cards out of China into the US to restock these partner cards. And
that's not cheap.
That is not cheap. So they're going to be selling them at a premium. So above retail, above MSRP. We will not see the first shipments, i.e. by ships into the US until mid to late October and November. And even then, they're not going to have enough supply, probably. So, this is the 3080 card is going to be hard to get your hands on for the rest of the year, I would suspect.
Yeah.
Until the insatiable appetite dies down or something.
Well, here's my question, Jay, though.
Go ahead.
Okay, 3080 is better than 2080, 2080 is better than 1080. Got that. No problem.
Well,
Do I
no.
That was what I wanted to talk about is it's what's good enough. I mean, what are you trying to do? If you're trying to do 4K at 60 frames or better, it's just a matter of how much are you willing to pay if you're trying to do that. And some games that's still not going to be feasible. Some people here are trying to play Microsoft Flight Sim, I think, but that's more of a CPU problem. Josh knows a little bit about this.
Yeah.
But it's just not gonna. If you're just somebody who's just doing 1080p, a 1080 GTX might even be good enough, depending on what you're doing. I mean, it really just depends. unless you're doing 4K, honestly, in my opinion, the 2080s are great they're great 1440p. You're not gonna bottleneck that thing.
So here's what I would say to counter that, and that is if you have a 900 series graphics card, or heaven forbid somebody cons you into wasting money on an AMD graphics card, because there's no such thing as a good AMD graphics card. I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of hurt people out there, but it's just true. Then a 30 series, you want one. If you're on a 1070 or lower card, you probably are going to need to upgrade as well, even if even if you're only playing 1080p. Let's just be honest. It's a 3+ year old card, and it was the lower end of the spectrum, and you're gonna need to suck it up and buy a new card. I would not buy a 20 series, because the top of the line 20 series, which are still selling for crazy dollar amounts, are slower than what should be the $500 card that you're going to be able to buy when they're readily available. And
Just
that's
wait a few
really,
months.
but you have to wait, or you have to bargain hunt, and you just got to be patient. So that's the big issue here is that, it's the 30 series cards are impressive, because normally when we went from 10 series to 20 series, and you went from a 1070 to a 2070, you really only saw about a 7 to 10% performance bump. And when we're going from a 27 or 2080, since we have stats on that, in the 3080, you're seeing a 70%, 73% performance bump in some games. That's a massive improvement. And that's why these cards are so attractive.
Jay, to get back to Turin's question, I know he was asking, should he upgrade? I think maybe we should touch for a moment on, the type of CPU you have and the rest of your system, because you could end up bottlenecking or not getting the full benefit of that GPU. So I guess the question for Turin is, what CPU do you have?
i7 6700.
Yeah. So you're on a 5-year-old computer.
Oh, I know that. You and I have had discussions about it.
We've had this discussion, but I'm using you as an example here, Turing. I know you've heard all this. So there are different schools of thought. I'm of the school of thought, and this is my personal opinion, is that you should buy a new computer in whole every 3 years, like clockwork. You get one, you play with it, you buy a $1,000 to $1,500 computer, maybe a little bit more if you make a lot of money, not any less than $1,000 if but you invest that every 3 years. And then you take that computer, you set it to the side, and you build a new $1,000 to $1,500 computer after 3 years, completely brand new case, whole 9 yards, and you just keep doing that. And you will have a pretty good gaming experience forever if you keep doing that. As of right now, as we talk right here, there's only one CPU to buy if you're building a gaming computer, a pure gaming computer, and that is Intel. I know it hurts. I have a lot of AMD processors for computers that are not gaming computers, and I'm not an Intel fanboy. I make fun of them and complain about them on a regular basis, but for gaming, Intel is the only place in town to buy a gaming CPU. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And NVIDIA is the only graphics card company that is in town. Maybe Ryzen 3 when it comes out. Probably not. May change that. And if it does, we'll update our recommendations. But generally speaking, if you're gaming, building a pure gaming rig, Intel is the way to go, and NVIDIA is the way to go. If you're on a 1070 or 1070 Ti or lower, you probably should consider getting a 30 series, 3070, maybe the 3060, somewhere in that ballpark. I wish I was sponsored by Intel. I'd be happy to, but we're not sponsored by anybody, so I'm just giving you my honest opinion. And for the record, I just built two $1,500 work computers with AMD 3090s, or excuse me, 3900s in them. So, that's, it's not that I'm against AMD. I just, for a gaming rig, I'm not going to buy anything but Intel. Sorry.
If
Go
I
ahead.
could, Jay, real quick.
I'm rambling.
In all
I
your
apologize.
wise advice you gave right there, which I agree with completely, there's a word you use throughout that I want to point out is not apply to everybody. Build. Not everybody builds their computers.
Everybody should.
Maybe they should,
Yeah.
but they don't.
It's easy enough.
Jay and I had this conversation.
Just let the statistics do the talking. I mean, I'm running a tri-PC setup, and I've got 2 Intel chips and a Ryzen chip. Ryzen does the work. I let Intel do the gaming.
Yeah. So
Well,
if you're gonna have somebody build you a computer, you want an Intel, and maybe we should make a list of decent vendors, but there's other folks out there doing that. I think if you were to go look at I can't believe I'm saying this. Go watch some Linus Tech Tips. My wife is laughing here because she hates him. They have some challenges where they go and mystery shop some of the big PC builders, find one that isn't a complete douchebag, and go buy an Intel, gaming rig. But here's the thing. Yes, she is right. I don't disagree. We watch him more for entertainment of all the stuff he does wrong. But, my recommendation is if you can build a Lego set, you can build a computer, especially if you have a working one next to you and you can get some help from a friend. So and for the record, Jolly has been offered for somebody to fly out and give him a hand building his next computer if he ever wanted it.
And I'll kind of put this out there too, that this was something that I got from Terraform when I was building my PC. The first PC that I built was back in 2016, and I was still in that mindset even just a few months ago of, back in like the 1990s when you could screw up your PC, you literally can't now.
Oh, you can, but you have to be an idiot.
But you really have to try. I mean, if you connect something somewhere, and it just doesn't work, it's not going to fry your motherboard. You know what I mean? Unless you're really trying to screw it up. It's a lot easier now than it was back in the early 90s. You'd agree with that, wouldn't you, Jay?
Oh, yeah.
I will say this, though. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, I've got a quick story if you want to know about a computer smoking twice. Yeah. So the very first computer I built, I bought like a PC magazine on how to build a computer. I watched all these videos, and Jay is right. Literally, if you figure out what slot to put something in and you don't jam it in there like an idiot, it pretty much goes in nice and easy. I think the hardest part for me was setting the chip and getting the thermal paste right. But after watching videos of really, as long as you get some thermal paste on there, it seems like it doesn't matter that big a deal, and you don't get it in the wrong places. But I thought I knew what I was doing, and I'd built a couple computers. And my wife's work at the time wanted a computer, and they were looking at some stuff online. I says, well, just let me have them build it for you. It won't take very long, and we can build something really great. So I bought all these parts and pieces through Newegg, and I put everything together. I double check everything. I push the button for power, and just smoke comes pouring out of the computer, and it shuts off. And I'm like, what the hell did I do wrong? Right? Like the worst imaginable thing you could have happen. So I call up Newegg. I walk through every single thing. I tell them that this isn't working. They actually sent me a new motherboard, a new PC, or a CPU, and we kept the same GPU. Plug everything back in. The exact same thing happens. Power, smoke, poof. I'm terrified. I feel like a complete moron. I figure that I just shouldn't touch another computer, right? So we did diagnose what the problem was. It was a bad power supply that was just sending way too much power to everything. And to Newegg's credit, they took everything back. It didn't cost me a dime. They spent a few hours on the phone with me. So even if you build your own computer and you completely moron it or you get a bad piece, if you buy it from the right place, they'll help you, and it won't cost you any extra money to get the right parts.
Now that is the source you buy the parts from is important. Another key difference between building your own and buying from a system builder, which I'll there's a situation where I would recommend that. Is you buy the parts individually, they're warranted with the maker of that part. You buy from a system builder. Intel has what do they call it? Not box, but what's the other word for that, Jay? Tray CPUs.
Yes.
And you have to warranty that through the system builder. Intel will tell you to go away. They won't warranty it because of the way those are sold. So that's something to keep in mind with those. That said, you have people who you say it's simple, you still run across people, they just don't want to deal with it. Or worse, they look at you and me, Jay, and say, "Hey, can you help me build this?" Because they
Well,
think
I
you
would-
want you to do it for them for free is what it's coming down to.
I wouldn't, I would not do that for most people, but I'd do that for Jolly any day of the week.
Exactly.
So-
You do it for certain people, but then you get coworkers hitting you up and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that, saying,
well.
"Hey, can you help me build this?" And then you're basically their free tech support.
Yeah, I don't want to be in that, but
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I got an eager 26-year-old who I sent through to college to get a computer science degree, so I
There
think
you
I can get him to build it. What I've learned in talking with this group and Jay and the media, you guys have been extremely helpful, is that you really do need to sit down and write down what do you want to do with the machine.
yes.
And I'm talking not only just don't say gaming. Write
What
down
kind
the
of
games.
games?
What kind of games you want? What's the speed you want? Do you want to play them on ultra settings or you don't want to play them on ultra settings? What kind of internet connection do you have? You have to look at everything else, and that's what I've learned. And I guess when I get ready to come to Jay to ask for advice, I'm going to write all that stuff down and say this is what I'm going to do with it. And let's lay out the various components for what I need, and I'll get my son to build it. That's not a problem. But I think if you sit down with a good diagnostic first about what you want to do with it, what's we, like when you're flying an aircraft or you're doing something, what's the mission profile? What's the mission? What do you want to do? And I'll tell you what aircraft you need, what size do you need, what kind of things you want to. So that's what I've learned a lot from this group over the last, I don't know, 12 months, 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, good planning for anything gives you a huge leg up, and building a computer system and properly planning it out and talking to people that are experts is this huge benefit, and you will make fewer mistakes. Having more eyes look at it that are knowledgeable will catch things like, hey, that cooler won't fit in that case where you're planning on it, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of cases today that are really nice cases that only will take a 244 or 240 millimeter AIO in the, top exhaust position. And, some people don't know to look for that. So if you have folks that are involved. Now, here's my plug as we get ready to end this show. And that is, if you're not in a community like that, there's a cool Star Citizen org called Atlas Defense Industries. And we have this wonderful Discord channel called Tech Talk, where you can ask technical questions as long as you don't try to hawk AMD CPUs for gaming platforms. And so, if you're looking for that. Also, just in case you want to hang out and ask questions, most of us, Nam and I included, are available to get poked on the HangarReady Discord, which is discord.hangarready.com. And, we'd be happy to answer questions as we have time. Try not to wake us up in the middle of the night. But definitely go there. And
This announcement is brought to you by Atlas Defense Industries.
Don't worry, you're not going to wake me up. I'm muting people.
no, that's good. Yeah, I'm good at muting people too. So I think, does anybody have any other questions? Let's go to the members or to the viewers real quick. We've got 114 on right this second. We're number one in Star Citizen. And let's see if we got any questions from the viewers while we chit chat for a minute. So, Jolly, how do you think tonight's gone so far?
Well, really well. You're right. The 3080 segment filled up a lot more time than I thought I was going to, so I was happy to see that.
Well, I stretched it there by talking about CPUs a little bit.
Well, I won't be getting a 3080 at least for another year or two. So,
Well, no.
I mean, I just
you
got the
have a really
2080.
good system. Yeah.
So,
You're not Turing that's got a computer that's in getting to the end of its life. So,
Yes.
Turing, how do
Computers
you
age
think tonight's
faster than
gone?
dogs.
He's
They
finally
do.
getting rid of that Apple II, huh?
Yeah, Turing, how do you think tonight's show went?
I'm thinking.
Guys, any questions? Throw them out in chat. How about you, Josh? Did you learn anything new tonight?
I learned more about the
Ask me
food
that
tonight.
question.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that list would be very long for you, Turing, so I was trying to keep it short and sweet.
Oh, thanks.
I learned more about the food in Star Citizen than I probably ever cared to. But it's useful information since it is a part of the game. I think the show has gone well. I'm always interested to see how when we plan a topic and what pops out and the little stories and the information that we get. So I always like seeing that in the back and forth, and I think it makes it a little more dynamic. So I think tonight's show showed that as well.
It does. I'm going to hop over to Hendrosa because Whitey Goodfellow asks, any of you have any videos of you building your gaming rigs? I know Hendrosa does. He's working on a video of building out his rigs. And do you want to pitch that, Hendrosa?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
too.
absolutely. They're already up there. Bam, there you go, Jay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, Whitey, there you go. There's a link to Hendrosa building his gaming rig.
One was a gaming rig, and the other one was a different type of rig, though, right?
A streaming.
So I
streaming.
so I was
Yeah.
doing I was doing the single PC streaming, which is now my utility PC, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let's build a new streaming rig and a new gaming rig. So, built the streaming rig with the Ryzen, and then built the gaming rig out with the Intel. So, and they're both on there. So
Good. There you
So
go.
here, and I'll post mine, which is a mixture of something you can use for racing and flying. And it took me way much more time than I thought and way more money than I thought, but it actually achieved my lifelong dream of being able to slide racing pedals and flight pedals in and out, pull my touchscreen in, move my racing wheel in. Yeah, it was a lot of work, but I love it and I'm happy. And so there you go.
So, Nam, how do you think this evening has gone so far?
It was fun. It's a little bit different topics from what we normally do, and I like the variety. Like I mentioned before, I am going to get a 3080. It's just going to be whenever I can get it. If I'm not going to pay some price gouging scalper price.
Bleepy bleep.
Yeah, I'm just going to wait and get a good deal on it. And
Yep.
I got a 1080 GTX. It'll give me a decent boost, and I got a home for the 1080 in somebody else's computer. So, it's a good deal for me. One story on that during the sale, B&H Photo Video, if you did, there was a period there during that mess, you did a search for 3080 and you came back with basically a DDoS message. The system was interpreting the 3080 searches as a DDoS attack. That's how many people were searching for it.
So, we have a question here about our schedule. So we're still working on getting all that worked out. Troll. Normally we stream once a month on a Saturday night at 8:00 U.S. Central, 9:00 Eastern Time. I believe, and I'm going to just put everybody on the spot, that we're going to stream again at 8:00 Central on October 17th at 8 p.m. U.S. Central. Same time, same channel kind of thing.
Yep.
So hopefully that answers the question. Well, guys, I think we've had a great show. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. I hate to cut this one short. We actually had 9 items to talk about, and I trimmed it down to these 3 because we've been going way, way over the last couple of months, and we wanted to keep this bite size. Callie Josh has got a dinner date with his beautiful wife, and we have to get him out of here before she comes and drags him out of the studio like some evil monster because
Yes,
she's
please.
hungry. So just around the room real quick, everybody, it's a crazy time out there. We've got human malware running around making people sick, and we've got crazies in the streets doing crazy stuff. So be safe, take care. Jolly, any last words?
Nope. Y'all take care and have fun. I'll see you the 17th October.
Yep. Turing, any last words?
Nope. Great night. Glad you guys showed up. See you next time.
Okay. Josh.
As always, it's fun to be here. I enjoy doing this show. I hope the people watching enjoy it, and we love the interaction. So please keep posting your topics and questions, and we'll try to get to them.
Okay, Namidius.
It's fun as always. Glad to talk to you guys about all this stuff, and my wife looks forward to these, if you can believe that. So
So she can make fun of us.
yeah,
doesn't
so
get
she
enough
can
of you?
critique me afterward, tell me what
Okay.
I'm doing wrong.
Just
But that's what wives are for. So that's all good.
so real quick before you go, some people have asked, what is that crazy thing hanging off the side of your headset there, Nom?
Oh,
I know the
that-
answer to that, but they'd like to hear it.
Oh,
Yeah, that.
okay. Yeah, it's a track IR device. Well, it's not track IR. It's I forget
It's
what
the
called.
IR emitter for track.
Yeah, the IR emitter. It's a battery powered one. I'm trying to remember what that was called. Shoot.
We
But,
put a
but I
link
got-
in Discord this week
will.
for everybody.
I will dig it up here.
Not right now. It's just
will.
sometime in Discord this week.
I will get
But-
it in Discord this week on what it is, but it's a pretty good device. I'm very happy with it. I got it. It's attached by Velcro to the cap. As you saw, the cap detaches magnetically attached to my Logitech headset. So I don't have to worry about it repositioning it every time. I can take it off like that, and it works pretty well.
Good. And Hendrosa, anything you'd like to say before we're done?
Yeah, thanks to everybody that showed out tonight for HangarReady, and thanks to all you guys that continue to support all the streamers of Atlas Defense Industries and on Twitch. So
Great. Well, guys, I'd like to thank you all. It's been a wonderful show. We'll be back on October 17th at 8 p.m. Central, and we'll have 3 or 4 cool things to talk about and, just bandy about. Hopefully it'll be the same crew, but it'll always be 4 to 6 of us talking, and we have a wonderful time. So really appreciate it. See you in the verse. See you next month. Oh, wait, one second. Hold on before we go. We've got a new member who is streaming this evening, and I'm going to try to raid him. 1 second. I want to be nice. Here we go. Let's see if that works. Nope, that didn't work. 1 second.
The drama.
Yeah, and I did link the clip. It's called a Dellen clip.
Holy
Nice,
crap.
Tom.
/raid space his name there, Jay.
Yeah, I'm just it's Jadius, and I'm spelling his name wrong.
JAEDIUS.
JAEDIUS.
Yep.
There we go. Let's go raid a fellow ADI member. You guys have a wonderful month. We'll see you back in October. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.